Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Base Damage. I hope you're doing well. We have several awesome people in the chat. To my top left, we have Joker.
Ohio.
To my bottom left, maybe it's on the scale of VTuber say-so-ness, we have Soup.
Hold up, I'm getting wine. I'll be there in a minute.
That is his intro. And in the bottom right, we have Dow. How's it going?
Still trying to worm my way into people's hearts.
Still, just wiggling.
Yeah.
I've seen, like, VTubers have like channel point redeems that are just like, would you still love me if I was a worm? And their model would change to like a worm model thing. It's real cute.
If they were a worm to begin with, we're back and we have liquid.
All right, so we have the worm, we have the liquid. Something about a margarita, I don't know.
I got juice.
You got juice. So amongst all the drama that has been going on with VTuber shenanigans, we decided we still needed to talk about some Weiss Schwarz today because this is the Monday that we were recording this before Worlds is happening. I'm probably going to have this either come out the day before or like the day of Worlds basically should be happening for us. We wanted to discuss our predictions of stuff or things maybe we've heard people talk about in the community, what they think would potentially happen for Worlds. As I look and check and make certain that it is picking up my desktop audio, we are good. I was like, oh wait, let me double check OBS. No, everything's good. But we just also we wanted to chat, shoot the shit. It's been a while since gooning hours, so we were like, hey, we need to goon. Also, Joker has to go to work, so we figure let people have the floor first and go ahead and start discussing stuff. Anyway, yapping out of the way. Worlds.
Is it?
Huh? Oh no!
Exactly.
The intro yap is out of the way. We are about to get into the full on like throwing shade yapping.
Yapping.
Welcome back, ladies and gents.
Welcome
back to Yapping.
Welcome back to yapping again. Basically every podcast episode, obviously. Yeah, it's come full circle. So.
And I guess that's the end of it. We've done enough intros.
We have, yes. So the facts. We have, since the last regionals occurred, which was Pasadena, we've had several sets to come out. I figured this is a good place to start. We've had several new sets to come out. Bunny Girl Senpai got its next set. Nikkei just dropped 2 weeks ago. I think it's 2 weeks. No, it's like a week and some change. Sorry, it's not 2 weeks just yet.
Sneaker Bunko's kind of in now, ain't it? Oh, but no, that's on the JP side.
That's on JP side. This is English. We got to talk.
This is English.
This is where we speak freedom here.
Exactly. Can't even talk about Bunko or Sneeko or Bunko.
You will have your day in the sun for that, but sadly, this is not that day. One day. As you said earlier, make Dow great again. We one day, it will happen.
One day.
So I figure go ahead and get people's thoughts on the most recent. Am I missing any other sets that came out? I said Bunny Girl. I said Nikkei. Was there any others that I'm forgetting?
Persona 3.
Persona 3. Yes, the secret underdog. Fuck yeah. Sorry.
Wait, is it Persona 3 or is it 5?
That's 3.
And the underdog.
It was Reload.
Persona 5 was 17, my dude.
He's right.
Oh, shit.
I had a brain. I promise.
Edit me out. And the underdog Blue Archive, which I've been having a lot of fun with.
This is very true.
BA was that before or after?
It was before Pasadena. I think
it was before Pasadena.
No, you're good. But I mean, it's fair to talk about because it didn't really have that much representation. To be completely fair, it had some tops.
It wasn't top 32 though.
Correct. Pasadena was top 32 cut. It was in there. Didn't it also wasn't it also like the regionals right before that? It wasn't like in America. It was in like another country.
I don't see it in Zwol.
It's not in Zwol. Okay.
Not in Zwol.
Okay, so it wasn't that.
It was March 15th, and I forget if it's legal or not, but
gotcha.
It does not have the top 8 placement.
Understood. So, unless we're forgetting, please feel free to correct us in the comments. I know you will anyway. The only representation Blue Archive has had was Pasadena. So, that's another one that could have a chance to come out and do some stuff. But I figure, like I said, we'll just kind of go around, and like I said, since Joker has to go to work soon, I figure let you have the floor first, just for fairness there. So We'll start with Joker. What are your thoughts?
So, Bunny Girl Senpai is going to be an 8-door deck. It is a very, very solid. I just turn my brain off, just build my 4 memory of different cards, just enact my game plan better than my opponent. It literally does not care what its opponent does. And I think it's a very strong contender to be within that top 8 for Worlds, and probably even take it. It just has a solid enough game plan on its own merit.
It's one of those decks where it's kind of like how Deadly Sins was always described of. Like you said, it doesn't care what your opponent does. It doesn't give a fuck about the interaction. It's going to do its thing.
I think, honestly, after playing it twice yesterday and losing and having my ass beaten by it, it's not as bad as you're thinking it is. It's just the fact that it has the anti-burn on so many different cards that it gets annoying. But if you're playing a restander combo, it shouldn't really matter too much. Or an extra damage combo or a mocha.
Okay.
You're talking about anti-damage?
Yeah.
Anti-damage? And are we talking about 8-door?
Yeah.
Oh,
don't they have a level 3 that says they can't burn?
You're
I think of Star Wars.
You're thinking Shauna.
You're thinking Shauna.
No, I played 8-door Bunny Girl Senpai twice yesterday. I know that for a fact.
There's a level 3 Mai that lets you do a top check thing like 3 times. It's not if that's the one you're thinking of, that's not the main one people are going to be running.
Star Wars, because I played against
Star Wars does have anti-burn.
I played against 2 8-door yesterday, and then I played Star Wars.
You anti-burn as long as you have the high ground, right?
I think it's like Vader did it, where like you can't burn during the card's battle.
Okay.
It was like a set 1 retrain 1. I don't think it was even a retrain 1 actually. It was one of the red stuff for Star Wars.
The guy who I played against was on both, because they both combo off of the 2 different. One of them's like a stock soul, and the other one's a door, I think.
Okay.
Oh.
But we shouldn't have to worry about Batman. I said Batman. What the fuck am I saying? Star Wars.
Shouldn't have to worry about Batman.
We shouldn't have to worry about Batman Ninja either. But Star Wars specifically, we shouldn't have to worry about for this.
No.
Luckily, something to keep in mind.
No.
You know, but no. Like I said, I know Bunny Girl Senpai had the top check thing, but that's not the level 3 combo that people are doing. Even though I like it, which means nobody's going to play it. But
No 2 burn 2, baby. If there's a climax,
because
funnies.
It do be the funnies like that. But Bunny Girl has JP restrictions, and that's kind of the interesting thing. They're wide the fuck open for this.
Yeah,
so,
don't have the JP restrictions in English that Japan does. So we're getting full power Bunny Girl going into this.
Yep.
So that's a major thing. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we're looking at 8-door Bunny Girl. Again, nothing too special other than the memory compression and the fact it has a really, really, really good spicy tail, where it's you mill the bottom 2 up to 3 times if you have 4 memory.
Yeah.
And you burn 2 if you find any climaxes with those 2. So on a pay 1 pitch 1 on attack, that is absolutely insane.
Yeah, very much so.
So yeah, you can straight up decapitate somebody from low to mid level 2.
Christ, I got killed with 7 in yesterday while being 30 cards in. It was nuts.
Yeah.
That sounds accurate. That sounds accurate for Bunny Girl.
Yeah.
From
2
to 3.
I agree with Joker on Mai, and honestly, I would also say that I think Mai is, without the Japanese restrictions, is probably going to be the singular deck that is going to be probably the best contender going into the weekend. Mai was infamous in Japan for that like Icy Tail Winter that was going on between like Mai and Aki, like all these like really overspec Icy Tail profiles that punish your opponent from being compressed, and Mai just having multiple instances of Icy Tail on one attack. The card is limited to 2 / was on a choice restriction list for a while, like for a reason. And going into Worlds, that's probably the one deck I think people are going to be most kind of looking out for.
Absolutely.
Which
so between go ahead.
Let's say which is kind of interesting because one thing you can kind of tell what people are going to gravitate towards for a set, obviously, price point is something you always got to look at. And I noticed when Bunny Girl dropped, the level 3 Mai, that, like you just said, does all the spicy tail stuff, wasn't expensive. So I'm like, do people just not know about this yet? Like, what's...
No, everyone knows about it, and I think me just pulling up TCG Player, it is at all of like $3.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, this is about to shoot the fuck up, you know, like, okay.
I think this kind of gets into more of a like Weiss market discussion, but it's not like it's priced low because people don't know about it. It's priced because a lot of people opened it, and there's just a lot on the market.
There's a surplus. Okay.
Yeah, there's a surplus of it on the market.
I mean, what is it? It's a double rare?
Yeah, when you get the SP chasers that are trying to get profits back from cases, and they just list a lot of the low rarity stuff because the SPs are where all the money is.
Yeah.
Nikkei, which we'll probably discuss later, is also in the same boat. Incredibly overspec crack set. There is no cards that is worth over $5 in a base rarity or lower capacity. All that stuff is like dirt cheap, and it was like this with a number of other meta sets. Overlord was always very price friendly. Sao, when like Alice was running around and stuff,
it was very affordable.
Yep.
Yeah, all that stuff was affordable outside of some of the older stuff, but it's because that stuff wasn't quite as like available because it was 5-10 years old.
And then it was bought out because, oh my goodness, it's actually good.
Well, yeah, because everyone all of a sudden needs it for their deck. So there goes Graham, there goes the money counter, there goes all of those profiles, right? And then Bunny Girl, all of the value in Bunny Girl is in the older stuff. The set 2 Mai that goes to memory, the boy and the Futaba like stock combo.
The boy.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Sakura.
Oh no, never mind.
Sakura. They're like $5 a piece, I believe. Last time I looked, because everyone needs that profile for the Bunny Girl deck, especially that memory 8-door variant, because of how sort of like stock intensive it is. With like everything is like pay 1, go to memory, so you have to run that profile in like 4s just to ramp your stock and make sure you have enough like stock to do your play throughout the game.
Agreed.
But that's where all the money is, all the new set stuff, because it's all readily available with people opening multiple cases. That's out there in troves.
So there's a good chance of like, oh, I can scoop this up for cheap and just like play it like as much as I want.
Yeah, and like I mean the players that we're talking about that are going to Worlds, they're going to be sort of like a higher tier caliber player that we're anticipating. Because these are people that like won regionals, etc. So they've already already have the backing. It's not like a guy who's like, hey, I'm just gonna play Bunny Girl because I like it and that's up. They're doing this because they are tryhards, right? So like they're already sort of in the know on this deck, and this is a set that we said came out after the regional circuit sort of ended. So I have the Weiss Tea Time regional results up. These regional results are not going to reflect sort of what we're going to see at Worlds.
Correct. I feel a lot of it's already shifted by the especially like even the small hits that we said happened to Slime. A lot of people obviously dropped it in favor of say Nino and whatnot. It's like so a lot of that like started to shift. Yeah, there's a lot of quints. There's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, that meta shift started. We saw other sort of more rogue options come in that were specifically in response to that meta, and a lot of results that we had like order discussions on. But with Bunny Girl and Nikkei being like back-to-back meta-changing heavy hitters, they're going to sort of put these results, the regional results to the test, and sort of show people sort of like how much the meta is going to shift further as we keep going.
And we have a special guest that has snuck in. We have Nar. I don't know how to pronounce your actual thing. How are you?
Oh wait, are y'all doing something?
Yeah, we're
You're
recording
good.
somehow.
You can
doing stuff.
You're good. You can chill here as long as you want. There ain't no like it's an open discussion for anybody. For basically
No, see,
Worlds.
what happened is
Listen, they haven't kicked me.
Dow player brought up anti-burn, and then the Long Horizon player had to come in and was like, "Boom, I'm here."
It's like
Guys.
you summoned me.
Had anti-burn 3 times.
Yeah.
Had anti-burn 3 times, and it's like, ah, yes,
Does
I
my
am
mic
here.
stay okay?
Joker, what else you got as far as Bunny Girl goes, or anything else?
So Bunny Girl, I think Nikkei is going to be a strong set. I don't think it's going to be. I think it will be top 8, but I don't think it's going to take it per se.
Even on the JP side, people haven't figured out what's the best build yet, and they've had it for quite a chunk of time. It's not
that is
solved.
correct, because you
okay.
have such an insanely high ceiling. We're looking specifically at Casino Rabbits. You have such a high ceiling, but the problem is that you need to have you need to have a decent floor before you can actually really put in equate. How do I want to word this?
What's
You need
it
to have
gonna
good
look
solid
like?
foundation and floor before you start looking at the ceiling. And I think the floor for rabbits is too low, because sometimes you might just not have a climax in your deck to actually proc. Even if you
it might be an
Mocha,
Overlord situation where it doesn't matter. You just hope you high roll and go for it.
yeah,
Like, people
you're.
ran Adventure Time at Worlds before.
I mean, but you're also
Yeah.
in the context of Adventure Time. It is a very strong, like, Adventure Time's strongest soldier on it,
Yeah.
and then 2, and because they're confident in the deck, and 2,
That's fair.
that finisher is absolutely insane. So that's understandable.
It really is.
So
Like last year, I had Steve Youth in the Discord while we were watching Worlds live, because it was Kokorin also in the Discord. But just for anyone who knows him in the Weiss community, is like the Adventure Time player, and like he was like in there, and I'm having to have Steve like explain to me what the fuck Adventure Time does, because I just never researched it like when it came out years ago. And I'm like, he's like explaining what it does. And I'm sitting there going, that's nutty. Like, like this is crazy.
so
Yeah. Joker.
Because I don't have much time.
Go.
So Nikkei should make a top 8. I don't think he'll take it, but I think the main contenders that are going to be vying for Worlds this year are going to be, as I mentioned, I think Bunny Girl's going to get it, but the other strong contenders are going to be, based on results, Nino.
Yeah.
Nino's a very strong deck.
I definitely say that.
It builds up a big board, and it has a multitude of ways to kill its opponent with ease. So that deck's going to be strong. It's got a very high, very strong floor. It's got a very high ceiling. And then 2, or third deck, I think is going to potentially take it, Overlord, because now board is back in vogue. Winning board and staying on board is in vogue, and since now there's a much stronger presence on board aside from Murin, since Murin's gone and was gatekeeping and checking the Overlord deck and Overlord players. Now that folks are potentially off of it, people are not teching for it as often. So it is a case of where people are going to go discount that deck, but now it's the strongest soldiers on it. It's the folks that have been on it since day one and are true believers in the deck that are going to be.
I mean, it's not only that; it's also that Chainsaw Man got a bop too, because you're not seeing that level 1 10K lineup anymore, just flooding the board.
That's correct, but that's also a previous hit, and that died almost immediately.
Yeah.
The deck is still viable, but I don't think it's viable for Worlds in the highest levels of play.
Absolutely not going to be something to even think about.
It'd be funny though. I would love to see someone drop that in Worlds. I think that'd be hilarious.
Hockey stomp balls,
yeah,
baby.
absolutely.
Hockey stomp balls.
Yes.
No, I think Joker's right. I think I want to say that Nikkei, I'll go a step further, and that's going to probably get multiple tops. More than 2, I want to say. But there's a few things with Nikkei. As you said, there is definitely sort of a little, depending on the build though, because the Rabbits build is very inconsistent. There are other builds, and to my knowledge, the Japanese builds are all like standby X. There was like standby gate, standby sort of like other things. It's almost like a HODL Live situation because Nikkei runs really deep. There's just sort of a lot of combos that you can do deck, and it's going to do pretty all right, right?
Okay.
The thing is that there's like a super solidified, like there's not one deck. We're like Bunny Girl, it's Mai, and there's not a lot of variance to Mai. Where Nikke, there's going to be a lot of variance to it, and that's going to put people in different situations. And I think with Nikke, not with Nikke's sort of popularity amongst the players, but a lot of those, not even the strongest soldiers, but we're talking the high top tier tryhards that have already gotten regional tops to their names. They know that Nikke was going to blow up the meta. It was going to be Mai, and it was going to be Nikke, and that was going to be about as big of a shakeup in the Weiss meta as we've seen in a little while as far as back-to-back set releases, probably since, you know, it was like Overlord Set 2, Chainsaw Man, Slime Set 3, like that era, right?
Okay.
So I think Nikke is going to get multiple tops. What builds? That's a bit harder to say. Again, I think Standby is going to be the stronger base, and then whatever is sort of paired with that. Joker, you brought up Overlord, which and Nino as well. Which, going back to the regional results, these were sort of two of the big winners from the last few regionals. Overlord winning Pasadena, which I believe was also the most well attended.
Yeah, that's been the biggest attendance we've had in like a hot minute for like any Weiss regionals, to be completely honest. But it's all, I think it was literally broke records.
Flash back to when we're doing the ban list analysis, and we were saying that like Overlord, all these consistency hits were going to hurt it, blah blah blah. They never hit the 1-1-3-2 lines combo. The core is still there.
Exactly.
So, and what happened is then Nino came out around that time. So the board-based meta that Overlord excels against was established back in, and Nino sort of becoming the big meta threat for that that window did a lot of quirky things with the meta. Overlord actually saw, I think, the most success out of the three decks that got hit.
Yeah.
It actually got more wins post hit than it did pre hit, when it was this was Overlord's time to shine. Slime fell off the meta, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And Seven Deadly Sins was in fact hanging around. And then this also allowed for other decks like Tokyo Revengers to start popping up, because Quint's card pool, as sort of large as it is a few years old at this point and missing certain tools that have hurt it in these higher level competitions. So not having access to things like a stock swap.
I mean, like, to add to that real quick, like, I've seen Quint's top over in, like, the UK side. Also, Cowboy hopped in and he had to hop out. On the UK side, where they have certain sets over there, like, sets of Quint's just banned. Like, they're missing cards that they don't have access to, and they're still fucking topping. That has to say something. Yeah.
For Nino specifically, most of her core was from set 2 and set 3.
Exactly.
And they didn't have access to set 1, which a majority of the set 1 cards kind of got pushed out of the deck anyway. At least on the side, some of the other ones need some of the set 1 cards.
Yeah. There's just not a lot of other, like, series that really are able to do that. Of like, oh, I miss, like, an entire set and are still able to do something. Not a lot of sets can do that. Quint's is like one of those weird exceptions.
Yeah, but also like not a lot of sets sort of have like
the pool that they do. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Quint's has so many sets. Does it really matter if they're missing one?
I mean, it depends on the set, but set 1 has basically pushed out of relevance with how overspec set 2 and then set 3 sort of gave support to like everything, plus the premium as well, which added new tools to everybody.
Everybody.
Yep. The only thing that's an issue for Quince is that they don't have a stock swap. So that's the only downside that set has.
Yeah, Quince doesn't have a stock swap at all, which has hurt it. Again, kind of getting back to the resurgence of Board Breaker, Overlord, and then hi, I'm going to be Hyper Compression, Tokyo Revengers, and Quince is not going to win that matchup because they don't have an out to Tokyo Revengers that every other deck sort of has built in. A moment on Tokyo Revengers real quick. Even though it was kind of a nice sleeper pick for doing well at the regionals. I don't think it's going to do well. Yeah, it's not going to. I don't think anyone's going to bring it to Worlds because of what the Worlds looking like. Yeah, there's going to be probably a bunch of Nino and some other Quince players there, but
it's a Weiss Schwarz game. It's going to be somebody's going to stand their deck, regardless if it's Worlds or not.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone is specifically taking TRV as like the meta counter pick, and they're going to farm the Quince matchup all day because they're going to be seeing a lot more Nikkei and a lot more Mai that are going to not play as well into TRV. Overlord might actually still continue to get results because if players... Mai doesn't care about Overlord as much because they're not a board-based deck, but if they're on one of those standby Nikkei builds and Overlord disrupts it at the right time, that's going to be in favor of Overlord because standby is all about tempo, getting at your big guys early so that way you can kind of be a turn ahead, right?
Exactly. So if you're able to nuke the board, it's like okay, that's gone.
Yeah, if Overlord disrupts that, then there you go.
Yeah. So if Nikkei is able to hold their pieces and say, for example, they're not playing standby. Let's assume they're not playing standby, and they're on something like X bar, so going into the casino top end, or my build that I really like is the Modernia door into the Dorothy finisher.
Which looks nutty. I was looking at that.
Yeah, that deck does not care about your compression.
It's going to punch
like
the compression.
If you want to, if you really, really want to give me cancel burn ones, go ahead. Absolutely. Also, too, like you're not gonna drop your 2/1 support pieces and the various things that the Overlord player is gonna want to target until after they hit their board nuke, or if you're about to go into Dorothy, you just hold your stock and hold your resources until you're ready to just absolutely just curb stomp your opponent.
On that note, is it even possible to try running a restricted to 2 top end into Nikkei because of the pay 5 rester that self burns?
Wait, what restricted it to top end?
That's what I'm saying.
Any of them. I mean, somebody might be crazy enough to run Gura still.
Oh, you're saying like someone else? Not. I thought you meant like Nikkei doesn't have restrictions. Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, I thought it was. I was
saying running a restricted 2 into Nikkei just seems suicidal.
If you're running Gura, and you drop Gura, you're killing your opponent that turn. There is no ifs, ands, or buts.
Like you are aiming to do it right then. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and if they turn around and have a response to Gura, you fucked up as the Gura player. And at this level, I don't think we're going to necessarily see that often.
I couldn't see like
also,
Aki really doing it, but Gura I could see. Yeah, just like doesn't care.
Yeah, Gura doesn't care. Plus, you have a wonderful suite of other off finishers you could use, and then you're also playing them on your kill turn anyway.
Yeah, you're not trying to stand by them out like you would with Data Live or with Ram
or with Standby Gura, because Standby Gura is dead. Hands down.
Yeah, I can't.
Caligura.
Yeah.
It's only going to be Caligura, and Caligura only puts down 2 anyway. The caveat with that is the fact that you're going to be only, like, you might see 1, maybe 2. You're not going to see, like, you're not going to always see 2 Gura.
Correct.
Sadly for the Gura players. But
so
I cry in Tampa.
Here's a tinfoil hat theory, just that I just thought about while I'm pacing around. Ooh.
All right.
Do you think Gura is going to get a higher representation
because of the graduation?
That's not even a question.
Because
last time they get to stand their girl.
They're specifically going to go.
One guy.
They're specifically going to go in. It's going to be a Mume Gura, and that's somehow going to be like pave the way.
Look, stranger things have happened even on the world format. I would say that I don't even think Caligura is even the strongest Hololive build, because that Chloe Marine build has had
it's so dumb.
More, it has had more representation and more tops. But there's been a bunch of it's Hololive. Like there's a bunch of different things that you can do.
It's all good.
Which also been Hololive's weakness is that it kind of goes so far, so there's so many different builds that you can, because Hololive is just rich in resources.
Agreed.
There's one deck I haven't heard us talk about yet.
What?
So I'm known as that Dow player, but I do carry one other deck in my box all the fucking time.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Before you continue,
Gear.
Guilty Gear is okay. Before you continue with that, hi Space Cowboy. We are recording something. You're more than welcome to chime in if you want to, but just figured I'd give you a heads up. We are recording.
He's just here.
You are vibin. I can't see the chat right now because I'm having to full screen to record the entire Discord thing. But no, I can see where you're coming from on the Guilty Gear front a bit.
There's nothing wrong with Guilty Gear objectively going into this. I mean, it's got a great range, got great reach, got great repetition, can start killing from 2, and it's consistent as can get.
Yeah, I was going to say that
And
it is a
pushable.
very solid pick in my opinion. I don't know how many people are still going to be on it. Whoever is on it is definitely somebody to be feared.
Like it still had reps. Like people have shown up. Yeah.
Yeah, it had
I don't think it's
representation.
going to see high representation, but it's going to be there. Somebody else is probably in the same brain state that I am and going, Guilty Gear's a solid pick going into this. They have a Fumio. You don't necessarily need a stock swap to kill somebody. And having the ability to shoot people 5 times over at least should put them into the bin.
Yeah, it definitely has, like, it's always had the tools. Like, that deck has been solid, that Ramethal build. I guess it does get back to the point where...
I mean, even the Ino build also is seen...
Oh, yeah, because that one is... That's a very cheeky build, too, I have to admit. Especially when the Ino build is more of that board breaker build, where the Ram build is that more board-based build, because you want to standby out your Baiken, your Ramethal, like those pieces, to sort of get that Ramethal set up at turn 2 and start going for that early kill. Will the meta sort of allow for that? Because... if there is going to be a representation of Overlord as sort of the board breaker deck, and things, again, like Nikkei and Mai are just really, really overspec'd as decks.
Well, I mean, to be straightforward, in Guilty Gear, you don't care if your level 1 board gets run over. You don't care if your level 2 board gets run over. The only thing you care about is the fact that you're able to have cards in hand to slam Ram.
Yeah, but you have to have that Ram survive because you want to start doing Ram at level 2 and start pumping damage.
So that you can slam.
And welcome to the...
Yes.
Yep.
It's a good deck. Like, there's a laundry list of, like, good decks. But I think that sort of gets into is what are the best of the best players going to be playing? Because this is not just some schmucks from the middle of nowhere in Virginia or Georgia or Ohio or pick your state that you like.
Right, so they're actually going to have that free fresh counter.
Yeah, right. So like this is going to be like sort of the higher caliber of player. Are they traveling to Japan, putting all of their hopes and dreams and memes onto Guilty Gear to sort of get them there? Which I don't think Guilty Gear really had any wins. It had a couple tops, but no, like really, really.
I'm trying to
quality.
think.
I think it literally. I'm looking at it right now. It did in Singapore.
Did in Singapore.
Did it win Singapore?
It won Singapore. It won first. It won second, and it won first and second in Singapore.
That's France. I believe it.
Shout out.
I think it's. We're talking about BCS, right?
You're saying Joker?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say I consider Southeast Asia to be its own ecosystem because
I mean, so is California when you compare East Coast, West Coast. It's a completely different ecosystem.
That's right. Singapore, it was the Potemkin build.
Oh, it was the dude teching.
It was the Ram.
Yes.
It was the Ram combo that got second.
Yeah, which also has one of the Marvel places in top 8, and half the top 8 doesn't have builds. Yeah, that's sort of the issue with looking at just results, is like the American and some of the European ones are they're bigger.
They're a lot more.
You're like 150, 200 players. There's a lot more of like a representation pie where, then you go to like some of the random European ones or some of the Southeast Asian ones. Like Philippines had like an okay amount. Malaysia has like 15 players. So, like, that's some people's locals. Singapore is 53 players, but that's, like, like that's very, very small as far as like a regional goes.
In comparison, it's what, a fourth of its
So,
size.
like the sample size is a lot smaller. There's like Chile with like 50 people. Even some of the UK stuff is not that great. Like Australia has 60 people. Jakarta is like 23. Southeast Asia.
I will stand by an argument of
Stand by.
if they took it and they topped in their regionals with it, they are probably going to take it to Worlds.
That is
more likely than not.
They do have that invite, and like there's gonna be that one guy. But then is Ram Potemkin? No, it was not even Ram. It's like Soul Bad Guy.
It's the Good Soul. It's two different souls.
Yeah, it's weird, right? There might be the guy that takes it, but then he's gonna have to get through sort of the wall of, again, because Indonesia was like way before some of the other meta shifts and ban lists happened. I'm sorry, Singapore. He's gonna have to get through Mai, Nikkei, Nino, and some of like everything sort of down from that. Can someone do that? Yes, and I know we've seen that at Worlds before.
Weiss do happen.
Weiss do happen.
Weiss happens. The Weiss gods giveth and they taketh.
They really do.
Yeah.
So
I'm more thinking of the guy that got second from that event because first, second, and third all got invites, right? For most of this stuff.
Correct.
I think so.
Correct.
Yeah.
I believe. I don't know.
Joker probably can say more since that's pretty close to your old list on Guilty Gear.
Yep. First, second, and third all get invites, but first is the one that's paid. So you might see somebody that has has the pay time off, maybe has the airline miles, that second or third that will go, or if, say for example, somebody gets a first place, which I think has happened. I think it was Vancouver and Pasadena. Might have been the same guy.
And
I'm not
passed
sure.
down.
And yeah, they will pass it down.
A sixth player has entered the melee.
Oh, it's Major O'Palmer, fresh off the announcement of UMA Global release. When is that coming to English Weiss Schwarz, please?
Please.
We'll find out in Friday.
Or we won't because they kind of announced everything ahead of time, so the stream is kind of useless at this point.
Made shit, you're right.
Depends.
Yeah.
I agree. I would love for them to like throw a curveball though. That'd be neat.
I would like something because if they're gonna announce a bunch of stuff ahead of time, like you got to save something for the stream, right? Even if it's like a ban list, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
That's fair.
Not before.
Watch it. Ban list hits, and then all of our predictions are off.
Well, ban list will be after Worlds anyway. So.
I fully believe there would be one after Worlds, especially if we have which we'll get into that in a second. Just giving the disclaimer again. Palmer, we are recording for a thing. You're more than welcome to stay. You're more than welcome to give your input for this. We were discussing World stuff. Just wanted to go ahead and give you a heads up for that.
I'm in a car, so if call quality's bad, let me know and I'll jump off, okay?
You're good. Please do not jump off of any
fine.
cliffs in your car. No, you're good.
Yeah, please don't jump off while you're in your car.
No, you're good.
Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, I am also in my car. I am literally driving to work.
Yay, work.
So
I'm not driving for one. Booga booga.
So that's an interesting thing to talk about, like the ban list wise. Like I said, there are things that are going to be played that have hits in JP but not in English. But also, like say Quince. Quince has some hits in English, but more on the JP side. I almost feel like if it's Nino that got hit in the JP side where the level 3 was limited to 2, even though they do have multiple ways of like I said, closing out a game, I could still see some of those hits happening afterwards if it has high enough representation. So
yeah, the other
depends.
Well, I mean, they could do what they do with the Overlord, ban it because it has one.
Well, the other hit that Nino had was the Foolish Burial from the premium booster because a lot of things that were. Yeah, that was added because a lot of people stopped running the cards that were already on the ban list and went for that Foolish Burial profile because it just did what all those other cards that were already hit wanted to do. And then the Nino deck had access to that Neg Soul counter again, which Busho really doesn't want that deck to have.
Really, especially like I realize as well, like before the Nexel thing really didn't matter because Slime with all of its like board wide hexproof was the thing, but now it doesn't really seem to be a thing anymore. Now, not saying that someone won't show up with it, but it really hasn't gotten the representation in tops that it did before. So, I don't know.
I don't think it's as in the slime matchup. I don't think it's as important because there's other things you want to do to try to play into that mirroring board.
Agreed.
Which also the mirroring board always was sort of an issue for Nino, because unless you're on that set 3 combo that JP players started to do, the sort of traditional Nino couldn't defensively like hold board against Mirren with like counters and stuff, right?
Okay.
So that was sort of a point against Nino and for Mirren. And yeah, the Mirrens are untargetable, so you couldn't do the Neg Soul counter if they weren't really playing. Before Mirren came out, when Nino was kind of running rampant, the Neg Soul counter was very, very potent because there wasn't that sort of counterplay to it. And now that they sort of have it back, and Slime's out of the meta, we already like established this. So there's not a whole lot in the meta that really can stop it outside of just bouncing on Nino and something like that, right? Like there's not a whole lot of like counterplay to it.
That's fair.
And the thing is Nino is not like a slow like Neg Soul deck. It's like a really fast aggressive. It's going to start pushing.
Yeah, it is very aggro.
And that Neg Soul counter is just there to sort of like save them from like an attack or so at level 3 when they just don't want to take damage.
Yeah, it's an oh shit button, most definitely.
Yeah, it's a no shit button. And there are like other tools outside that neg counter, but Nino getting that Foolish Burial and some other tools put it back on that meta radar, with some of the other stuff going in around it. But that is one of the JP restrictions that English doesn't have to worry about that we might see at some point in the future.
True.
Mai is another one.
Nikkei doesn't have anything on JP right now?
Nikkei has nothing anywhere because of how they did.
It's so new.
Where it was like
I know it's been out in JP for a minute though. I didn't realize like it didn't have anything though.
Yeah, it has nothing because it like that China whatever, but I think because the way that the JP meta is, they don't want to hit Nikkei so soon after its release.
Yeah, that's fair. It's kind of the whole like we want you to buy the product.
Yeah, they need to sell that product. They're still trying to like sell that product because like
we can't hit your boss monster.
I hate that part of the logic of it all.
We couldn't hit Firewall Dragon.
That reminds me of Chainsaw Man in English because we got that Chainsaw Man hit 3 months, I think, after that release.
It was very much rampant. Yeah, it had to.
It was deserved and needed, but that kind of gets back into like, why are the sets designed this way anyway? Because that was that period in Weiss where it was like everything kind of got this really big like bump in power level that later stuff had to be scaled down, which now we kind of swung back again on that power level bump. With Nikkei, JP has the ReZero Rem build that is also expected to come to English at some point.
Yeah.
And that's another sort of meta terror right there. And there's a lot of Love Live Hasuno Sora in JP. We're probably not going to have to worry about in English because we haven't really gotten much in the way of Love Live support outside of Sif.
True.
And I doubt we'll get Hasuno Sora, but that set has been a nightmare in JP.
That's going to be really fun to look at. Shoutouts, by the way. Speaking of ReZero, shoutouts to the 3 guys that have been buying like all of my fucking ReZero stock on TCG Player. I thank you for the paycheck.
I mean, it still sells. People want it, and then if we actually get a ReZero announcement like towards the end of the year,
absolutely. I'm holding off on posting everything. Put it that way. I bet the little bit that I have posted. Oh boy, people have been going ham on that. So
yeah. But outside of Mai and Nino, there's not a whole lot of bandless discussion unless they actually address Nikkei, which is way too soon about that. Nothing else really deserves it at this point unless they want to unrestrict Kaguya-sama, please.
Give us back Gura to 4.
Give me back Karumi, damn it. And Gura,
That is not an English thing to do. That's going to be when we do the Japanese ban list video and JP has to do it because English is not going to do anything that spicy that they're going to unrestrict Dal before JP does.
Yeah, I can't see them doing it early.
I think at this
I
point,
don't think they will,
Practically
but
not.
if they, all right, if they never ban Nino, it's gonna have to happen.
It depends on the representation. It really, really depends on it.
If 12 standby is legal, I think it's fine.
Yeah, see, I'm in your camp where I think the Dow pieces can come back with everything else that has come out since then. Like, we are at that point in the Weiss meta where even if Karumi is unrestricted and we get the...
It'll do nothing.
Yeah, we get the Fantasia set too, it's still like... It's just another deck, right? At best.
It probably won't even be C tier.
People be like, where the Rios at?
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to get that on the English side, though. So outside of Kaguya, I don't think there's really going to be much as far as the ban list goes. It might just be like, hey, we're going to that's it. Because right after Worlds, we have the Summer Festival Team League, which Team League normally is supposed to be around this time of year. But because the regular regionals ran so late, they made it a summer fest. Which I don't know, maybe it's just what they're doing at this point forward. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
kind of like the theming behind summer over spring, but
yeah, I don't mind it. It's just sort of a scheduling thing.
Very true.
But
definitely.
I don't think they're really going to do much until we get some results in for Team League, which then we're going to have a discussion all over again about what's going to be going on in Team League. Well, it's going to be Mai and it's going to be Nikkei, and that's it.
And a third of one of a couple decks, and it's gonna matter.
Pick your Nino, your Overlord, your Hololive, the kind of your third represented deck. There's probably gonna be maybe a thing or two coming out between now and then that people might be on, but
some Kenshin shenanigans,
Kenshin does have shenanigans. That's the thing.
I'm liking it. I don't want to buy into it, but at the same time, I'm liking it. So I probably will.
It's Kenshin, so I've been long familiar with that property. The problem is
so looking forward to Kenshin in English.
Or Ave Musica and Girls Band Cry coming out, which are also very respectable decks, by the way.
Yeah.
So, because Girls Band Cry has had JP results, even with some of this other stuff going on, but I know that deck needs a promo or two that we may or may not get. And Ave Musica is also definitely does some nutty things, and Bang Dream has long had support, and they've kind of printed a lot of the best support again in that set. So it's just everyone has access to the Buns for Luck profile. Everyone has access to some of the older. I don't think Toilet was reprinting of that, but I don't think the deck really runs Toilet because it's green red based. But that's more in the future though.
Yeah, we'll have to see when that does come out. So. Yeah. Just to bring it back, I was gonna say, Joker. I don't know how much more time you have left. Did you want to? If anything else you want to throw in?
He's got 5 minutes.
You got 5 minutes? Okay.
I was gonna say we've covered 8-door Bunny Girl. We've covered Nikkei and the old champions. Yep. Speaking of old champions, and not necessarily that this deck won any worlds, but definitely won a regional. Might be a shadow pick and definitely a good anti-meta pick.
Ooh, okay.
I think Shauna might actually do something and at least have some representation.
Have Rios kick in the door again with fucking Shauna and just be like, nobody saw it coming.
I mean, hey, if
it could.
If Finest Carmen wants to head over there with Shauna because he won with it, that sounds like a correct thing to do.
Well, that would be Rios. Rios won with it, but
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Carmen tried.
Yeah, you're right.
Carmen
won.
I think going into the world scene, you got to look who you're trying to spike. Even still, what does it spike?
To a degree.
So much of the meta.
Shauna has had representation. That's the thing. It has shown up.
It's not the representation. It's the question of who does it screw over, because you know who's going to show up the worlds to a degree.
Any deck that does burn.
Can you beat them out?
Any deck that does burn that doesn't get their bounces. 100%.
There.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then,
deck that might show up, and again, it's going to be that one guy that has to play into the specific matchups. But I believe this was a deck that made a showing at a JP Worlds format previously, because he knew that he was going to be playing into Nino and a lot of other standby decks.
Which sounds like what they might be seeing.
Yeah, so like there's going to be more Nino if they're on the standby stuff. There was an Ichika in the premium booster, I think it was. It was the one where she's put on lipstick or something. That's like a stun card. It's like the on play, choose one of your opponent's cards and they can't move.
My brain
Right?
is trying to think. I'm trying to remember this. I think you're correct.
It's a level 1 Ichika, and that card has seen play in a more limited format in JP Worlds before. Again, expecting a heavy standby based meta, and it's sort of just a counterplay card to that. And that deck had really good results at that Worlds. I don't remember if it won or not. I'm trying to find that card again.
You're good. Joker had to bounce
Kate is
out.
going to use his magic.
No, you're good.
Yeah, he's on okay.
I am trying to work some magic here to kind of pull.
Yeah,
once I can find it.
Captivating Lips Ichika. It's a level 1 stock bomb with a stun effect from the premium booster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this card has seen play in prior, more limited formats. Because remember, this is Worlds. It's capped at 150 players, and that's assuming that everyone is going to, take the plane ticket out there over to Japan. So it's going to be a limited format with a lot. There's going to be sort of a lot less variance and a lot more sort of anticipated things going on here. And it takes that one guy. This Ichika has popped up in these formats, I think, a few times.
Okay.
I can't post it to the chat, but if you got it, you got it.
Yeah, I already showed it.
Okay. Yeah. This might just be like a card to watch out for, either if there's just a full-on, either if Nino players are playing this to counter other Nino players, or if we're going to get sort of full-on 8-choice Ichika, which is also a very solid deck. It's not like Quince doesn't have 4 or 5.
We're talking about that Spice 2/2?
No, it's a 1/0 stock bomb.
Yeah.
It's a 1/0 stock bomb that stuns a back row and you can't move. And those effects are very potent against standby.
Honestly, I would see that as a reasonable run.
Yeah.
If you're expecting so
possibly
many different early play lockers and all that.
Yeah, it's a card that's popped up before in JP. We'll see if it actually gets any sort of play in English, because I know people are aware of it because people look at these JP results, but I don't know who's going to be on it, and it also just depends on what matchups you're going into. Because if you have this against Bunny Girl, it's not going to matter as much, because Bunny Girl is not going to be moving stuff in the back row up all the time.
Yeah.
But against that Nikkei standby or other Quince decks, this could be a really sort of spicy meta pick. Let's call it. Spicy.
You like a little bit of spice in your life, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Who has time?
And let's also remember, because I have to plug this in, Worlds was also the format where Macross got that big win, which no one was really expecting.
I kind of want to see it top,
again,
though.
It's one of those. It won.
I'm saying this year.
Yeah, it was last year, I think it was, for JP Worlds.
Yeah.
But it got representation this year, and me sort of having a bit more experience with that deck since we did that video initially, I sort of see how that deck is really, really good, but also you're just playing against itself because you're just a combo-based deck where you have to set up the pieces. If everything goes right, your opponent's just not going to kill you. But if things go wrong, then you're just going to self-destruct, the games are bad. But if you take that high-level player that has the reps in with the deck, that's another sort of sleeper deck that can get a good run out of it, versus some of these other decks where it's this is going up against Mai or Nikkei or whatever, and you're sitting there I don't care, I'm going to free fresh every turn. It's
just never taking refresh damage is
Yeah. So... Yeah, and then you kind of get down the list of there's a couple decks right there that's just been sort of a meta sleeper. That Ichika, I think, could be a nice tech piece, but it all comes down to what the players are anticipating on being on. Which there's also been that player that's hey, I have a Worlds invite and I'm gonna play some random deck that I love because I don't have to try hard this event. I'm just getting a free trip to Japan.
Pretty
and I'm
much.
gonna play. Yeah, I'm gonna play Adventure Time. We talked about Adventure Time, right?
Yeah.
And like, I would be a legend if I went like X2 at Worlds with Adventure Time, right? There's also sort of that aspect to it too.
There is that mentality. Like you said, the free trip is like that's such a big draw of it. Like I can imagine someone just be like, "Cool, I'm just gonna run this little BS deck, get knocked out, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go hang around, Tokyo or whatever."
Yeah, there is definitely that aspect of going to Worlds into Japan where like a lot of players, they're absolutely going to win, but they're also going to hey, it's a free trip to Japan.
Agreed.
Like flights.
True.
I would fucking love to have that.
Assuming your visa gets accepted.
We'll have to see.
Well, yeah, which according to my one friend has been a nightmare as far as like the tourist lines go. But like, hey, if Bushiroad's paying for it,
if Bushiroad's paying for it, you would.
Somebody didn't get in that I know, unfortunately.
Big Gomen aside to them. You would think, like you said, with Bushi being the ones to pay for their thing and everything, pay for it and everything. You would think they would have some, like, being able to give them some kind of push with that, like, for accepting the visas. Like, hey, we're sponsoring them to show up for this.
Sure
I don't know.
On the circumstance. So
yeah, I could be completely wrong. Like, I don't know.
I will say, though, they are definitely a top player. I don't know if they actually won their ticket or not this season around. It's just, it's kind of weird hearing that.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad because bro had his trip planned out and it didn't work out. It's sad.
Yeah, and that happens. The last time I was even thinking about trying to get a plane ticket was that like last summer when all the computers shut down.
Oh, fun.
And like, yeah, and all my friends were stranded like off in Dallas. Or no, it was Vegas. It was Vegas. They're all stranded in Vegas of all places.
Yeah, there was
because that was when all the computers shut down. Yeah.
Which is wild.
So, like there is that aspect too, but that's something you really can't predict.
True.
Question for you. Which Nino is English running? Because in Japanese, because of the ban list, they all ran the 3-2 that comes into play early and makes a monstrous wall of stuff. And then you cancel burn 4 all the time.
It is the set 2 Nino. The builds have been set 2 Nino, not set 3. Which I love that set 3 Nino and the theory behind it. But English has not sort of transitioned to that yet.
It really hasn't, but like they're still like running it. It's a very interesting mix of stuff because you'll see the cards that have climax combos with standby, but they're just putting them in because they can for other shenanigans. Like, the 2/2 that summons itself, or that stands itself, I'm sorry. People run that just because it's an amazingly good 2/2 target.
Oh yeah, they're running that 2/2 because it's still the best level 2 standby
Pretty
target.
Much.
Because it's so big offensively, without combo.
Yeah.
But no one in the regional results has been on that 3/2 Nino. That's the 15 with a level 2 support.
Correct.
I think that little package is nuts, like absolutely insane. I think that's where the future of the deck is going to go, banless or not banless.
Mm-hmm.
We might actually see that at Worlds too, because I think, again, the higher level players know about that deck. And if they're going to a different sort of environment, maybe they're going to pivot to that.
Very true.
Because it's kind of hard to look at current Nino results because that was the Nino.
Yeah, because that was the Nino that was doing, and also all the current results are like already outdated because all of the BCSs were before Nikkei and Bunny Girl's release.
Exactly. It was kind of a weird timing thing.
Nikkei, because it was after that postseason, and there isn't quite like a solidified build. There's a few like different builds that people are testing. Maybe because people won't have time to test Nikkei as much as maybe some of the other builds that they've been on for regionals. Maybe that could hurt it in its results.
Possibly.
But I think just like the American brain that's like, oops, Nikkei, this is strong deck, we're gonna play it. That sort of like monkey brain mentality. A lot of people are just going to blindly go over to that. Be on one of the builds, the standby build, the maybe a bar build, maybe one of the gate builds. To my understanding, is like what Joker calls the casino rabbits, the bar-based builds.
Yeah,
That was the deck that was supposed to break Weiss Schwarz.
pretty
And
much. That was kind of the general consensus.
Yeah, but like because it was like super RNG for all of the effects going off, even when you get like extra bars in there and stuff, it didn't really do anything on like the bigger scales. It's like, yeah, this is like a really fun deck, and like I know people like the characters for reasons,
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, we have reasons, but because Nikkei, but
future me, you know what to do.
It's one of those decks that doesn't have the consistency to really get it, versus then everyone was on some of the standby based builds again, like we've said, and that I think had a lot more consistency to it with some of the power and tools that Nikkei offers.
Exactly, and I'm going to say something, and I don't mean this in a bad way about Nikkei in particular. I've noticed multiple times, whether it's different formats or what, or you know, what other decks those sets have to play against. There have been, like, the English side is very much its own beast. It's like how we said earlier, oh, Singapore's its own ecosystem. Me jokingly saying East Coast to West Coast are two different ecosystems. JP Weiss to English Weiss is the biggest jump in ecosystems in my mind, where we get a set announced, and I've lost count of how many times this has fucking happened, where I hear the community get super hyped on a set saying this is going to be like the breaking point of like this is tier 0. This is going to be absolutely nutty. Everyone's going to be playing this. And then the set does nothing. And I'm like, I know people overhype.
Like in mind that you're thinking of, because a lot of the sets that I hear about that,
Excel World, Infinite Burst, honestly, Overlord didn't get results for the longest time. I'd have to think about more, but it has happened with multiple sets.
I don't remember the Excel World hype personally, and I bought into that set. It was a really cool set for its time, but it didn't do anything.
The meta is so vastly different, and then the mindset is so vastly different.
It is.
Overlord is probably
we want to build something glass that goes kaboom.
Yeah. That we've talked, and like Joker's not here. This is his hill to die on.
I know.
Is that like a JP player versus English player mindset, where the JP players historically like to play the slow game, things like Neg Souls and that stuff do better in the JP format because that's how people play. Where in the English format, again, we're a bunch of monkey brains that just go, haha, Cat's 2 soul, go slam damage.
Agreed.
We're gonna just go.
That's close to true, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The JP game values consistency very, very heavily, especially when you go overseas.
Yeah.
Yes.
The American playing JP player like myself, I feel like I'm a hybrid of both.
Mm-hmm.
I was taught how to play by a Singaporean. I was taught how to play competitively by a Singaporean who thought that swinging with 2 characters at level 1 was the thing to do. You know, in the old days of the dinosaurs.
They believed in dual laners before dual laners was the thing. There you go.
Well, dual laners, it was dual laners because you had to, because you didn't have brainstorms that plus your hand.
Wow, we're talking that far back. Okay, got you.
Right. Well, I learned how to play in 2012.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, even to this day, you know, most of the JP players I know aren't going to slam 3 characters in a climax on turn 1. Because it's absolutely just not something you do to your hand. That goes against everything we were ever taught.
Yeah, a lot of those JP players that do that, it's because they have like evasive level 0s, your clean cuts.
Right, exactly.
Like flips as much anymore, but like stuff like that, right?
Right, but even if you ever saw me slam 3 characters, you wouldn't see the climax coming behind it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it just kind of depends on it depends on the deck. Can they recover from that kind of state? So
right. I've done it with the Oshinoko deck you did a video on because I was playing a Morphing 0, but
got you.
That's the extreme.
I have a random question then that I just thought of, like discussing this mindset thing. Does JP have the double loss for time?
I think so. They do as well. I think it's more rare to see show up.
I heard 3 people talk at one time. Sorry, go.
Yes, we absolutely do, and it's enforced in nationals at Rochester.
In JP, it is enforced.
Yes,
Yes.
at the JP Nats in Rochester.
Okay.
That are the ones.
Okay, because like you said with this the JPs, like you said, Joker's Joker's hill to die on. I can words like, and I do agree with this. Like there is the slower play. I say slower play, but the slower like pacing mentality for JP. So I got to thinking, I was like, wait, did they just not have double loss? Hold on, sorry, that's where the mentality came from.
They do have double loss, and that's why they have double loss.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a
Because
little
the
more
games
sense.
because the games can even the games can grind to an absolute halt. I mean, I've never played in Japan. I'm just basing on what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've read, etc.
Understood.
That's partially why a finisher here in the U.S. Oh my God, it does 5 packets of damage. Is like nice and aggro. Over there, it's to finish the darn game.
Yeah. Where
Gotcha.
JP is gonna be like Luna Standby versus Sora Nagsoul, and that the player's gonna be there forever. And both of those decks were like either on the restricted list or like going to be on the restricted list because
I played that matchup. It's not very fun.
Yeah.
It just makes me think of like fighting games or something like, oh, this is a really strong character. The Americans be like, I'm a fucking wave dash with this. That's all I can imagine. That level of aggro.
So funny until you have to see the slime mirror, Batman.
Yeah, it's your
Now,
Derby, Guile, Zangief like player versus like the Wombo combo like Virgil.
Yeah, I was like thinking Virgil like
Capcom.
Capcom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now going back to your question and everything, one thing I've noticed though over the last 2-3 years, Weiss decks have gotten very, very, very consistent, very, very easy. So, like in the old days, if a person went 3 characters in a climax and they didn't shoot you to level 1.5 to 2, they were dead because they were out of cards, and you just sit there and just look at them funny and just go, oh, how cute, and crush them.
Yes, like that mentality from like Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I'm just to give a comparison to agree with you 100%. Like Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day was a thing of card advantage. Now it's I'm going to dump as much of my entire hand as I can to make a board that you can't break. For people who understand,
Yeah, like it's not go like summon Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer set 3 go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's build your. It's not in U-Link anymore, but it's like build your 6 in the gate.
Yeah.
Kashtira, Tyr, Ryziel, Fiend Smith boards, blah blah blah. Right.
Exactly.
Especially from some years ago, we kind of go back. Not even some years ago. Let's go back like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
The deck speed and like just the speed and like utilities that decks have is insane.
Absolutely.
Right. Even just in the English side, if we go back to like posts, I always say that like Dow set 1 is sort of like when the modern era of Weiss sort of kicks in from like pre-modern to post-modern was Dow set 1. But then
agree with that.
Because that was when we started getting the overspec, like the hyper finishers and the overspec level 0s, where it's, hey, historically these have been 2 effects on 1 card. Let's start jamming them together to get these hyper efficient level 0s.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do we have like a climax swap, but we have a climax swap that is a level 0 bomb. Or not only do we have like a top check ad card, but we have a top check ad that's also like a Rico profile, right? They started like mixing and matching all these really good efficient 0 profiles, and that vastly increased the speed of the game, and it's gotten more and more of like a power creep, not so much for the finishers, but because of the utility.
Yeah.
So if you play like Mushoku Tensei, was like the dominant meta deck 3 years ago.
Yeah, for a hot thing. Yeah.
Yeah, or like Escanor, some of those like old builds. Those decks, a lot of those decks, got on the restriction list and they like came off. Not so much Escanor, but Mushoku.
Mm-hmm.
And like they don't do anything, right? We were just talking about how.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Mushoku deck top in forever.
Yeah, Mushoku hasn't topped in forever, and they got the back a while ago. Dow, we were just saying that like that Karumi can come back.
One day it will. I'm gonna say
One
it
day.
for you now.
JP's gonna do it first, but the Karumi can come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kaguya had a bunch of results in JP, but it never did much in English. It was more like a preemptive hit because they were anticipating it doing stuff.
Yeah.
Kaguya never did anything, and now that Kaguya stuff can come back, and the deck is still like S tier because it doesn't really do anything special outside of that Miyuki's like really fat. But like
the fat booty.
Yeah.
The biggest thing change though I've noticed is the game allows the, as my locals call it, the unga bunga turn card sideways.
Yeah. No, very true.
That the game is starting to get to the point where that's becoming much more allowable.
Yes.
You know,
either
don't
sort of that
punish
like
the bad
first
for it.
deck rush.
I mean,
attacks,
in
or
Weiss, we're always going to have 8 climaxes in a deck and 28 damage you have to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, what I've noticed just playing like other things too is there's a lot more builds that specifically, like the finishers are like super under costage for what, like how much damage output they give. Gura is one example. Marine is super efficient for like a burn 3. Bochi, the Freerin finisher, like the trial deck finisher, even like the set finisher, like has its merit too. A lot of decks are going to basically, if you're in like 2-4 or 2-5, you're within kill range.
Oh, easy.
Wait till you'll see the new Akane and Oshinoko. You want to talk about cheap finishers? Good God.
Yeah. And then again, we are still missing, even when we got Nikkei and we got Mai, we're still missing a lot of the best decks currently in the JP format. We'll probably get ReZero. Other things like Fantasia Bunko are sort of expected, if maybe a little bit down the line. I don't think we're going to get Hasu no Sora, but yeah,
I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt too. But like, there is
it's a Love Live set that not even I bought.
No.
Because Hasu is weird. I know people that like Hasu, and like I would like to get into Hasu, but like the way that they released it is weird, and now they're getting a bunch of Bluebird information because that's the next thing with all the old stuff going. But
I just saw that today.
We're getting, there's been a large power creep, or another power surge, I guess, in Japan since they kind of last dialed stuff down. And the set releases are like not consistently powered now because some sets are just way more overspec'd than others. So we talked about like Blue Archive, right? Or like Persona 3, which like they have tools and like in a vacuum are like pretty decent decks.
Yeah, they're very solid.
Yeah, they're solid, but they're not insane versus some of the other decks we've mentioned already.
Yeah, like P3 does not have a Gura, or they don't have, an Escanor or something of that nature. They're crazy stuff.
Something that's coming out later, like Rurouni Kenshin. Kenshin actually does a lot of really crazy, like wombo combo-y stuff.
But burn 5 swinging, and then what is it? Pay 2, pitch 2, burn 5, or something like that.
Have you guys played a Kenshin?
I have played Kenshin. I almost
no one in the area
won the JP regional over here.
Because I know the deck is universally frowned on by lots of people who have lots of trophies in their trophy case.
Oh no!
But I'm gonna die on the hill that thing's very playable.
Didn't it top?
It did top 16 in U.S. Nationals. I know the player personally, and he has proceeded to beat the living crap out of me with the deck on a regular basis.
Oh, okay.
It is so freaking. You play I think it's 8 door. And literally, you just sit there and loop your level 1 combo.
Yeah.
And nothing can stop it. They have cards that put climaxes in your hand, the climax in your hand with a 2-soul. And then there's another card that puts the level 1 back in your hand, the combo. And you just literally sit there and regurgitate this over and over again, and then you have an explosive finisher at the end.
Yeah, I think it's one of those decks.
It was described to me as the most boring deck to play, but boy, does it work.
Damn.
I'm used to playing the 8-soul build.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think Kenshin specifically is just one of those decks where like it didn't really get a lot of play that I saw in JP, but like you got results. Like it wasn't bad.
But remember, JP didn't play 2 Love Rue when it was meta.
Which is saying
It
something.
was absolutely destroying us here in the West, but nobody would touch it in Japan because they didn't like To Love Ru the anime.
Yeah,
or they
because
were over it because it was how many years old.
yeah, that's true.
So all of us were sitting here screaming for To Love Ru to be banned because it was absolutely wrecking our local scene, but it couldn't get 10% attendance in Japan.
Yeah, I have stories about To Love Ru as I go look at my binder that has all my To Love Ru stuff in there. I have stories about that, but that's too much of a tangent for this video.
I have channel stories for To Love Ru. We will save that for another day.
Go back
and look at the Heart of the Cards tournament reports for 2000. I think it was 15 or 16. To Love Ru wrecked Havoc both years.
Yeah.
Just don't.
That's in JP. Do not wreck Havoc 2 years in a row. That's the joy.
How long was Dal running around as Tier 0, being unbanned in both JP and English?
Like
JP nailed it pretty quick.
I know JP got My Little Shido fast, but I don't really think anything else. Is not right.
It was 5 years ago. I don't remember anymore.
I think that one was one of those ones that got hit really quick because I don't remember. I remember. I mean, unfortunately, it was 2020, and that was a bad year for me medically. So I literally spent 2 weeks in the hospital while My Little Fido and such was wrecking my locals. I missed it. So, and then it got banned really quick, and nobody played it. So literally, I didn't play it until I started playing it.
Yeah, people were on that. People were on that fast. Just like Dalset 1 was really hard to get because it was in the middle of COVID. People were playing online, and those prices were insane because of all the production issues, right? At the time. Which I guess this is sort of I want to segment this into like another section too, because this is the other aspect that is happening at Worlds, because we're still on a Worlds conversation, I guess.
You're good. You're good.
We talked a little bit about some of the future releases and kind of moving to Team League. Kenshin, I think, is going to actually be a really solid set. We are getting Icarus Recoil Premium, which I know that's awesome. Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there, and make some of those things playable.
Premium fix the set pretty well.
Yeah, it fixes some of the stuff really well. So like that's like a respectable set now. And I know my one friend has been going on about Daddy Combo.
It's another one I'm going to say, if you see a person across from you, kill them. Do not let them live. Do not let them smell 3. They will murder you with like 20 cards that they don't even have in their hand at the time. And you're going to be like, what the just happened?
Then we're getting, I already mentioned Ave Musica and Girls Band Cry, which are both very, very good sets. Like those sets have been getting a lot of results in JP, and also
and when you look at Avenue Musica, don't forget MyGo. It's also a viable deck.
MyGo is also a very good deck too. I'm building it. So
Avenue Musica set gives you 2 very viable decks.
Yeah, and then Girls Band Cry has been getting a bunch of results I've seen, just like people's local results, but there's been a lot of Girls Band Cry. I think someone in the chat, it might have been no, it wasn't Spice Wafers. Someone was like, "Oh, Girls Band Cry is gonna be like a dead on arrival set because no one knows."
Was that you?
Was that you? No, I think that's a very solid set. And I think the secret's out on that set, and I think a lot more people enjoy that show more than I think other people realize, especially with sort of the history of that show, which Cade is currently watching it, and we were just discussing it before people jumped on. But because it like wasn't really picked up on streaming for a year because people thought it wasn't going to be good, and then it's like, oops, this is like Anime of the Year contention.
I think
like yeah, like
I was the one who said it's dead on arrival because I haven't seen those reports, so and I really haven't seen it that much. If I'm wrong, that's awesome. Bushiroad could use more wins.
It's gotten results from what I understand. I don't think it's the same power level as some of the other JP stuff, but it has gotten results. The Subaru, that's like a clean cut and it does something else, is like a really, really busted card. And I think it needs like a promo or 2 that came out, but don't quote me on that.
See, I just love with Girls Band Cry. I'm gonna be able to flip off my opponent, and they're not gonna know that they're being flipped off. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, it is. It is the most wholesome middle fingers. I absolutely love that show.
So
you have to give them the pinky, and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
You're just gonna hold your pinky up to them, and they're gonna be like, what's going on, and they're not gonna know.
Which is also canonical to the show. You'll see Nina do it a lot.
Yeah.
But we're also going to get sort of going here because they've done a bunch of just Twitter announcements. Because we're supposed to be getting the stream, which normally means we'll get some kind of product announcement, right?
Typically.
They've already.
Do you want me to break some news?
Do it.
Maybe.
I cannot 100% confirm this.
No,
but I will
this
say that
this is being recorded. This is being recorded to post on YouTube.
I know it's recorded.
Okay.
I know it's recorded.
Okay.
I'm 90% sure. I was having a lovely conversation with the Bushy Road Tournament official folks, and we were talking about. I needed to find out what the theme cup was about, and what that Nikkei theme cup, and what was going on with it, because I had scheduled it.
Mm-hmm.
And we started talking, and they informed me that that they're going to be doing those, and that they're going to basically be they're going to be theme events or set title cups with a different name and better promos.
Okay.
And he goes, we're going to start doing those for future sets, but not all of them, just like they did with Fairy Tale.
Okay.
And I said, oh, I said, Fairy Tale's not announced yet. Are you confirming that this is coming out in English by accident? And he goes, I thought that was already known.
No, it's not.
And he goes, and I said, I did not know this myself. And he goes, well, I can tell you that I'm fairly sure it's coming.
Okay. So we got the insider information for the next Space Damage bingo. Awesome.
Interesting. Yeah, we get to fix up the bingo cards.
Yeah. That is a I mean, that's kind of an expected thing anyway.
I fully expected it to.
It is.
They already announced, since I think the last stream, the last announcement was the Colorful Stage Miku set, which is also going to be getting into a very disrespectful deck right there. But they've since announced Girls Band Cry is one of them.
Yeah.
Slated for August, and then they just yesterday, I think it was, announced Gun Gale Online.
Yeah, it was like a day or two ago, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gun Girl.
What's left to announce for the Weiss portion of this video?
Yeah, so that's the thing is what's left to announce. So we might get a Fairy Tale announcement.
Yeah.
There's sort of a laundry list that we go back on the bingo about like what can come over. ReZero, Fantasia Bunko.
Yeah.
I expect Dan to get a very quick turnaround, especially with season 2 coming out in the fall, I believe it is.
Agreed. I kind of expect us to at some point have Dan.
I'm not sure they can do Fantasia Bunko.
Why not?
Oh, no, never mind. I'm thinking Sneaker. Never mind.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sneaker's the issue.
We can't do Sneaker Bunko, but we got Fantasia Bunko before.
Right.
We'll make sure
We got Bunko 1. There's nothing in set 2 that I know of that should be an issue in specific.
Okay.
Yeah. So we should get set 2 eventually, but I think they're going to push out some of those more popular IPs. Fairy Tale, like you said, Dan.
I'm thinking Azure Lane. I'm thinking Azure Lane 2, because right now they're getting the collector's money big time, and they want to keep.
I think they're going to want Azure Lane 2 going into sort of the holiday season, so that might be like a winter release. Fairy Tale has some cool stuff in it. Dan, I love the merge mechanic. Like I've always loved the merge mechanic.
Same. Gurren Lagann, all day,
Yeah, like Gurren Lagann, Roboco, Hina Logic.
Chainsaw Man technically has like a form of it.
Technically has it too. There's a few things, right? From what I understand, again, from the JP players I know, is that Dan is a super like underwhelming set.
It was the day after it was released, I found a Twitter post where a store was selling it for 40% off.
Yeah, like
the fuck?
It's not a great set, and I think it also was because the SPs were not even stamped. It was just like OFR.
Oh, that's
the SPs for Dan look like the Shauna Premium 1-per-pack foils with the red board. Yep.
Yeah, that's the SPs.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
3 or 4 arts they did for it, but I think it is some of like the SPOFR art. Like you're not going to see them.
Yeah, but that sucks at that point. Collectors want the fucking signatures and shit. Like.
Yeah, so I don't think.
Yeah, and that's why it bombed out, because everybody thought collectors were going to buy it. And
shout out,
they did.
Shout outs to the
But
people
I
who wanted the
think
My SPs. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I think that the IP alone is still going to sell, even if
Yeah.
the deck isn't great.
Hell, I'll buy it.
It
Oh, fuck it.
didn't seem if a store's putting it at 40% off the day after release, it didn't in Japan.
Yeah,
That's
that's
saying
fair.
something.
I don't know about the English players, but I also think that like English Bushi, the market in JP is a lot tighter, but I think Bushi has a better foothold in that JP market where they're really struggling in the US market.
Mm-hmm.
Because like their other products like Vanguard is
Union Arena.
well, no, yeah, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. The actual Bushi products, Vanguard is not doing as well as it was because of all the stuff going on in that game.
Mm-hmm.
They're already bringing over HoloLive, and that's like that's gonna be the next big game they're gonna have.
Yeah.
Shadowverse is dead already.
Yeah, it's yeah.
They're also bringing over the Godzilla TCG because I remember one of our stores was like, "Hey, do you guys want to do demo for Godzilla?" And I'm like, "Oh, that'd be kind of cool, actually." But I don't think Godzilla is gonna do like overly amazing.
I don't know if they can bring that over in English.
They are.
It's already.
It's confirmed. I already got all the posters and the advertising in our last in the April store support kit.
Okay.
It's already confirmed. They're doing.
I was going to take it home to my Godzilla loving brother, and my shop owner's like, "Nah, we running that."
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they're doing a combined Godzilla HoloLive like caravan to some stores because one of the stores down here was asking about it.
Just
but I don't think
Pecora riding Godzilla. Just there you go. So.
And then
Perfect.
like Dal said, Bandai has they're doing well in Japan too, but they also have a really, really big market share corner in America. One Piece is still like the bread and butter for them right now because Digimon fell off, everyone went to One Piece. Gundam is coming out, which I've heard really good reviews about the actual like gameplay for Gundam.
I played it. It's too fast for my liking.
That's fair.
It falls under the Union Arena where if one thing goes wrong for you and it doesn't go wrong for your opponent, you're dead and there's no chance of coming back.
I guess that's fair. Where UA is, I've heard really mediocre things about the gameplay, but I've just been avoiding Bandai games like The Plague.
I would definitely pick Gundam over UA on gameplay.
Yeah, but the thing is that UA definitely, I think, has the stronger IPs that Americans are after. They're going after more of those shonens, and they're directly competing with Weiss's marketplace. And being that a lot of stores are already really invested into Bandai games like One Piece or Digimon, it's a lot easier for them to get the Union Arena stuff because people are like, hey, I want the JJK set. Hey, I want Demon Slayer. Hey, I want this stuff. Versus some of the Weiss releases are a lot more niche things and like a lot like kind of harder sells. Yeah. Everyone's after Nikkei right now, but before that, it's like, like Quince was a really good set, but like to your average card gamer, it's not going to sell like overly amazing. Like not a lot of people are, quitting One Piece to go play Quince, right? Bunny Girl, say that about like most of the releases in Weiss. A lot of people want Nikkei. But that's also why the Nikkei prices are what they are, because a lot of people were buying into it for.
Yeah, you're gonna have people going, "What's a Bang Dream?" Like, it's just like
no one has a clue what Bang Dream is. They might know Rurouni Kenshin, but like some of those other like future sets like Miku,
still,
it's not that kind of Western gamer profile that people think of. The Magic players already are probably sick of it.
Well, I mean, let's go with Zoomer brains and stuff going on right now. The only thing that somebody in my generation is probably going to recognize is Dandadan.
But then they're
Oshikanoko is probably going to be something that they might know. But there's a lot of stuff that's out of sight, out of mind.
They'll know Oshinoko, they'll know Dandadan, they'll know Spy Family.
But they'll go to MTG because they'll see SpongeBob SquarePants and be like, "Oh, snap,
Bingo.
The memes,"
I'm actually pretty sure no one is going to MTG right now. I think people are really sick of what Wizards is doing.
Actually, there are a lot of younger people joining in on that.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, a lot of older players are just so dissatisfied.
Right, but younger players like the social atmosphere of Commander, and you don't even have to play to win anymore.
Yeah.
like, that's getting to another video about Commander. But
Yeah,
I'm like,
umpteen different base damage videos of ranting about MTG. I've definitely
but
done that at this point.
Where's Joker when we need him to talk about his 4v4 format?
For real.
oh my god, please not that. Ben. No, we don't need Commander
You'll
and Magic
summon
got
him.
already shit. We don't need that in Weiss.
But come on, funnies.
It's like, you keep it up, you'll summon him back. We keep talking about Union Arena Cowboy will come back. It's just, no.
If I say his name enough, he'll
the
show
one
back up,
time
right?
until it actually becomes like a thing, and then it's like, yeah, this is actually not fun because the game's not designed this way. As someone that has played those like tag team card fight Vanguard multiplayer schoolground Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, it's like, no, this is actually hot garbage. And for anyone that actually sits down in like a multiplayer Commander setting where no one does anything until someone goes infinite, it's so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no one wants to deal with this.
Yep. I've said my piece on it before. I'm just gonna say, like, let's all agree and just move on at this point, because
But
so yeah.
Yeah, going back to the original topic, Fairy Tale, Dan to Dan, some of those other ReZero, some of those other sets. We'll see if we actually get an announcement, because I think all the announcements go up until August, I want to say.
I think so.
Which is still not really that far out.
Yeah, future me, show it on screen if you will.
Present me is going to tell you right now.
Oh, snap.
Gun Gale is going to be early September. Girls Band Cry is late August.
Got you. Okay.
Ignore Mirrorverse. Miku is June. Ave Musica is July. Girls Band Cry is August. SAO Gun Gale is September. So we're probably still due for another announcement or two.
Well, like, it's almost filled out for the year though at that point. So
it's not, because like we're not going to get a fall concert till a fall concert. The fall like product until probably August, September, or even October, if the summer team league is going to be running that long.
True.
So they kind of have to fill out the release schedules for another like month or two.
Yeah, that's just, I'm just saying they wouldn't have to say much. It wouldn't be like, oh, we're going to announce these like 5 different sets. They kind of have to do the bare minimum.
They already announced 2. We'll get like 2 sets.
Yeah. So.
I could be. Sorry.
Go.
I could be grasping at high hopes and dreams and stuff like that.
And bang dreams.
But
say it.
But Cygames has just announced the Uma Musume
That's where I was going.
Global game for June release. Usually Bushy Road loves corresponding things with releases, so
yeah.
I haven't given up hope of my Uma in English, because that is for literally the Uma game. The first thing Uma set is based on the first like year or 2 of the mobile game.
Okay.
Yep. Give us Uma set 1 in English. That's where I was going with that.
So
I am waiting for it.
So side question, and you don't have to elaborate or anything. It could just be simple yes or no. When Shadowverse had the Uma set, did you get into that at all?
I had learned how to play Shadowverse before it came out in English, and I wasn't very impressed.
Okay.
I did buy about a half box of boosters at a vendor at one of the Spring Fest or something like that right after the Uma set came out, and didn't hit anything.
Okay.
My friend though turned around and hit Palmer's leader card that day.
There you go.
And then handed me a bill for $100.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I had to ask a little side thing there.
I kept a couple of the foils. I think I gave the rest to some Shadowverse players that were at the event.
Okie dokie.
And then I went ahead and my Palmer's graded.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
But my dumbass used the mobile app so Palmer would talk to me, and I dinged the card, so it's a really low grade.
Oh, sad.
But it's okay.
Yeah, if I showed you guys the card, I don't think any of you guys would be able to find it, because I can't find it either. But I apparently put it in the card somewhere.
Yeah, I Again, Joker's not here because Joker's the one that like wanted to full dive into Shadowverse, and I had some other friends up in like the Maryland
No,
Nova area. That
Joe
were doing
did
it.
too. Joe wanted to get into it so much because he played like the games for the Switch and everything.
Yeah, like it was popping. Like set 1, it was popping off, but by the time set 2 and 3 came out, like everything dried up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just gonna not buy into set 1. I'll wait for something later. Especially if there wasn't like a really local scene. If there was a local scene, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I'll give it a shot. But it's like I didn't want to dive into too many games, especially right in like the first set. So I was like, all right, like the Uma set's supposed to be good. This is before I even watched Uma, but like, you know, I was like, instead of buying it in JP Weiss, I would buy it in Shadowverse. But by the time the Uma set came out, no one is playing in my area. Like everything dried up. There's pockets still because apparently Shadowverse is getting turnouts at these BCSs.
Yeah, like it's
But, like,
still
Well,
getting it.
they're getting enough. They're getting enough turnouts to where they're getting turned away to make more spots for Vanguard players, from what I'm hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've been having. They were having some problems with that, where I guess Vanguard had so many people that they were turning away Shadowverse of all people to fill they continue filling Vanguard spots.
Which is weird because I know Vanguard is also adjusting around their BCS schedule because they're not doing premium in all the locations. They're doing like a Lyrical Cup.
Yep.
At some of their locations.
My location for team event has Lyrical Monastery Stereo Cup.
Yeah, I think Philly also has it too, which is like Vanguard's in such a weird spot right now. But again, that's a different thing for a different video. But like, yeah, Shadowverse. I don't know. Kind of gets back to I think, yeah, like the Weiss releases. They're Bushi has to kind of like double down on some of the English releases because the market's like, it's like not as competitive in Japan, but they're not in like as strong as a foothold in America versus Japan. So they kind of have to do a bit more, and they're like not. But yeah,
Okay.
please give us Uma in English. Holy crap!
It seems Dow had to go.
I think it would be kind of viable, actually.
I think set.
Oh
I don't
no,
think
I don't think.
one-
I don't think you need set 2.
Yeah, I don't know because a lot of stuff that I play is like set 1's like a good set, but set 2 is kind of what put it over the top. You know.
Huh.
I
Most of my decks are still set 1 main.
That's fair.
I absolutely can't stand Jungle Pocket or Agnes.
I have to watch the movie that reminds me.
The movie was great and their characters are great. I just don't like the finishers.
That's fair. No, I'll love the movie. I'm just like kind of waiting. But now that I got Cinderella Grey's to like tide me over for a little while, it's like, okay, I don't need to like rush to watch the movie because I want to kind of spread Uma out a little bit. But when that mobile game comes out,
It's gonna be a
I'm
different
probably
thing.
dropping all my Hoyoverse games. Like screw Genshin, screw Zenless. I'd rather go play the Horse Girls.
That is very fair. I will probably be doing some shenanigans for that as well.
Yeah.
To bring it back, because it's all good. We can absolutely chat about Uma all day. I have no issue with that. But I guess to finish this out, probably end the recording, and then we can continue talking about Horse Girls.
Do it.
So, just a quick thing to round everything out. Obviously, like I said, I figured I'd show the little bit of information that we have, obviously, for Worlds, just pulling up the extra browser on the screen. Like I said, obviously, this should be coming out probably the day that, like, Worlds is going to be happening. We're going to try to watch it live, in the base damage VC, if anybody wants to join, just to see what all happens. It's probably going to go late into the night. I'm going to stay up as late as I can. You know, whatever happens.
Last time they did this, it was during the deck checks for the top 8.
Yeah, they ended up last time taking a good long while. But there's other
Thursday
issues.
night, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thursday night?
Correct. So Thursday night. So if you're watching this the day that this comes out, check back in the base damage Discord in a couple hours. So it will be in Tokyo, Japan. So even though it's saying May 2nd, which is that Friday, because they're ahead of us, it will be May 1st for at least me on the East Coast. So, and also to give a quick shout out, obviously, to the casters, the people who are going to be doing the little announcements and everything. On the Vanguard side, they have Different Fight and WCC Kai. I'm not as familiar with them, but shout outs. One person I am familiar with, Shizu Cats, is going to be co-hosting the Weiss side and as well as ENTCG. I know Shizu has watched some of the podcast stuff before. So shout outs, man. I hope y'all have a good time down there. And I don't
should be, with those two, that should be a pretty good broadcast.
absolutely. I should be very interesting to hear their perspectives on it because they're like I know Shizu is. I don't know Ian as much, but I know Shizu definitely knows his stuff. So should be interesting. The Shadowverse people I'm not as familiar with, but Outer Orange and Red Zone Rogue be really cool. I want to show the price cards
I know
real
Red
quick.
Zone Road, right? I'm sub to him. He's done a bunch of games though. I think I mostly watch his cross content that he was doing for a while.
Gotcha. The participation prizes, the Fern Weiss Brainstormer looks really cool. Where is the prize support for Weiss? Oh shit. Okay, they went full on with the fucking free run. The World's Final supply set. So you could just buy it at Worlds or something? I don't know.
So
Free run, it's all Fern all day. Card sleeves stuff. We don't get, paid for announcing this stuff. Where is like the champion? Okay, so they have top 8, top 4. Okay, so the champion one is the level 3 magic to create a field of flowers event from Free Ren. Let me see.
it's the stock swap.
It is the stock swap. Okay.
Stock swap event.
So that's going to be really cool. Good luck to everybody participating in it. Let's see, the media partners. Hey, look, Casually Weiss Schwarz is one of the media partners. We know that guy. That's going to be awesome. And Trustless Collectibles, obviously, because Shizu Cats is going to be there. But I just want to show that really quick, and we will be signing off for now so we can go talk about Horse Girls. So, for obvious reasons, this will be very interesting. So that is going to be it. Thank y'all very much for watching. Thank you for everyone who's joined in. They are no longer with us. I mean this in the they had to go, not that they deceased. Joker, Space Cowboy.
Dead. We killed them.
Yeah, Dow Player. Nar showed up and he messaged me. He's like, "Yo, this is above what I know about Weiss." So it was like, "Bro, you're good. We're just gonna say Log Horizon's gonna win Worlds. Done." Anyway, no, but that is good.
Log Horizon won a tournament at my locals Saturday night.
You know what, Nar? There you go. There's the proof right there.
Log Horizon supremacy.
That's what I just need to title the video. It's gonna be great. And thank you to Palmer and Soup for showing up. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, and we will talk to everyone else later. Stay based.